Hey everyone. I'm not sure how many people are going to be up. It is a little past midnight here in Florida, and going through the play where Fred Warner got hurt. Kind of important mistake that the 49ers made. And could it have prevented the injury? Maybe. Could it have changed the outcome? Maybe. The 49ers defense only had 10 people on the field, 10 defenders. They only had 3 defensive linemen. So Tristan Wirfs came off the line and was one-on-one with Fred Warner. They did not have a right defensive end on the field. They had 3 defensive linemen, Bryce Huff, Kalia Davis, and CJ West. 3 defensive linemen. 10 men on the field on the play that Fred Warner got hurt. Because of there not being a right defensive end, Tristan Wirfs came off the line straight into Fred Warner. That's not where he got the injury, though. Tristan Wirfs was pushing Fred Warner towards the 49ers bench, and Rachaad White ran through. Rachaad White running through triggered Jair Brown and Marquis Siegel to go in and tackle the runner, which is what anyone normally would do as a defender. But because Fred was being pushed by Tristan Wirfs, who outweighs him by 90 pounds, he wasn't in the best position to protect himself when Jair Brown and Marquis Siegel came running through to tackle Rachaad White. I'm not saying that this is the only reason Fred Warner got hurt, but I'm saying that if there was a defensive end on the right side of the field, it might not have happened this way. The play would not have unfolded this way. Huge mistake. Robert Saleh, why don't you have 4 linemen out there? Why did you not notice that there were not four defensive linemen on the field? Also, Fred Warner probably should have noticed that there were only 3 defensive linemen in front of him. Kind of a mistake on his part too, to not call a timeout and say, "Hey, we need Michael Williams on this side. We need Samu Kuanu on this side. We need someone on this side," because there's no right defensive end. So the way it was lined up, Bryce Huff, Kalia Davis, CJ West. De'Amon Lenoir was outside and behind Bryce Huff. Renardo Green was outside and behind. On the right side, it was Luke Gifford, Fred Warner, D. Winters. And then Marquis Siegel and Jair Brown were lined up deep. 3 defensive linemen. Tristan Wirfs versus Fred Warner. Not how he got injured. But when he's going up against someone who's 90 pounds heavier than him, he can't break that tackle and go turn and tackle Rachaad White, which would have been the most logical thing for him to do, because Fred Warner obviously understands how to stop the run and what was going on. Tristan Wirfs knew exactly what had happened. He looked down and he was like, immediately called out medical attention. Yeah, I'm probably exhausted. But it does not take away from the fact that there were only 10 defenders on the field when Fred Warner got hurt. And Tristan Wirfs was like, get over here. And who was the other player? It was Tez Johnson. Tez Johnson was there. He looked down, saw it, and he's like, get someone over here. And he turned around and covered his face. Like, it was such a gruesome injury that Juwan Jennings was nauseous on the side of the field. Tez Johnson was like, oh my God, I can't believe what I just saw. Tristan Wirfs immediately knew. Jair Brown, who landed on Fred Warner's ankle awkwardly, which caused the dislocation and fracture, you could tell after the game that he was not there. He knew, like, I don't know whether he felt it. He landed. He was one of the people. He and Marky Siegel landed on Fred Warner in that awkward position, causing the dislocation and the fracture. I went through that play multiple times, nearly frame by frame, and watched how it unfolded. And I'm not saying that if there was a defensive end in there, it wouldn't have happened, but most likely it wouldn't have happened the same way. So huge mistake by the defense to not have 4 guys on the front. Just a crazy kind of thing to point out, and just wanted to discuss that before I hang it up for the evening, because I just wrote a story about that, and Jair Brown's mentally just struggling. After the game, he was trying to talk, and it was hard for him to answer questions because he's so broken up about what happened to Fred. And I think that's what most of the locker room was like. Most of the locker room was devastated and really tough to see. So, but yeah, 10 guys on the field. Not ideal. Probably didn't help them. But just a tough one for the 49ers. I don't know if this season is lost per se, but it's going to be much more challenging for them to find a way to win games. They were already in game after game after game, crazy that they still had kind of a chance to win this game after everything that happened. Kyle Shanahan did not put the interceptions on Mac Jones. He put them on other things happening, probably Kendrick Bourne running a wrong route at one point. Yeah, it's going to be a challenging rest of the season. Fred Warner is the heartbeat of that locker room. He is the soul of it. And it's a blow. I mean, you could tell in the locker room how devastated players were, staff, owners, everything. Is Jake Brendel going to start it till I die? Actually, Jake Brendel is actually doing an okay job. It's Connor Colby that's not doing great right now. And he's a rookie, and that's part of being a rookie. And it's, Ben Barch is eligible to come back. They could open up this window next week. They need Ben Barch back in there desperately. High ankle sprain, though, so we'll see. I don't know if he's going to be ready to come back or not, but they definitely need him back. What was going on between JJ and Kyle? I don't know. I asked both Kyle and Juwan Jennings. It was a heated argument, and there were security people that had to kind of help separate the two. Juwan is a great player, and I think the 49ers love him, but this has been a challenging season. He's been very injured. I thought it was very different from normal player behavior for Juwan Jennings to admit he has 5 ribs broken and a high ankle sprain and a low ankle sprain and a shoulder. And, obviously his need is to be on the field because he is his contract is incredibly incentive laden this year. So, yeah, okay, I know. Yes, a lot of people are like anti-Brendel, but honestly, if you don't have Dominic Pudi playing well and Connor Colby playing well, Jake Brendel can't do it all. He's actually gotten decent grades. Juwan Jennings did not go into details. Kyle Shanahan just said it was a heated conversation, a competitive conversation between 2 people. And when I asked Juwan Jennings about what it was, he was like, "Yeah, I got to ask him. You got to ask Kyle." And I said, "Well, Kyle said it was a heated conversation between 2 individuals." And he said, "Yep, probably that." So Kyle Shanahan said they're okay. So he did go back out on the field and he did play. But, yeah, tough one. Pooney he'll be fine. I think he played beyond expectations last year. Now the league has tape on him. They know what his tendencies are. And, um, it's tough. Connor Colby is a 7th-round pick. He's a rookie. He's kind of getting manhandled out there. Um, I would say more on that. So, yeah. And yes, Vita Vea is no joke. I mean, it's not like they're defending a guy who, has no experience out there. The Bucks defense is good. Um, Losing an average of 1.5 players per game. It's not good. Bosa out for the season. I have been saying for a long time that 2020 is way worse than this season. It's about the same now. In 2020, it just happened earlier. 2020, it was like week 2 in that horrible Jets stadium, and they lost Solomon Thomas, Nick Bosa, Jimmy Garoppolo had a high ankle sprain. Someone else had a high ankle sprain. It was awful. I think Raheem Mostert did as well. It was awful. That 3rd and 14 play changed the whole game. Is that when Baker ran? Yeah. Baker did a number, and that was like the backbreaker. Baker almost getting sacked. And you know what? That wouldn't have happened if Fred Warner was on the field. Fred Warner would have stopped Baker from getting a first down. And even if he didn't stop Baker, his energy stops him because Fred Warner plays to the whistle. And I felt that, and I've got to look back at the tape, but there was less sense of urgency once they figured that Baker was sacked back there. And then it was like, oh, everybody woke up and, oh, he's still running. No, I mean, like Fred would never have done that. Fred would have made sure to play until the whistle, until the player's down. And I think that's what you lose. None of the injured players came. Brock did not come. Kittle did not come. All those injured guys stayed home because they want them to recover. I like the offense. Really needs to get everyone back to help you. Now it's on the offense, right? They are going to get George Kittle back, hopefully. This offense needs to play better. They got their first rushing touchdown. Christian McCaffrey basically ran over both tight ends, and Trent Williams manhandled the guy to get them into the end zone. So, yeah. It's not just Kittle being out, but it's also Juwan Jennings not being fully healthy. Juwan Jennings is a great run blocker, and you've also got wide receivers in there that aren't used to blocking like Kyle Shanahan wants. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, okay blocker. Sky Moore, okay blocker. Demarcus Robinson, okay blocker. You don't have Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Juwan Jennings, and George Kittle, and Ben Barch, all out there blocking for the run. So that's why the run isn't working. You need everybody to be on it, and they don't. But yes, Kittle's a huge, huge piece. And Kittle also opens up the offense. He changes the way opposing defenses game plan, and that changes how the offense is performing because 2 guys are often on Kittle. So it just is what it is. It's tough. You don't have the wide receivers. I mean, how many times Brandon Ayuk down the field 10 yards blocking somebody so that Christian McCaffrey can get through? You don't see that from Marquez Valdez-Scantling. You don't see that from Sky Moore and Demarcus Robinson. It's just not the same attitude. Deebo Samuel would bully people out of the way so Christian could get through. You need those receivers to do their job. Now, Ricky Pearsall is a pretty good blocker. I've seen him block really well, but it's going to take him to get back into it and to be comfortable doing it and to be more aggressive, be a badass run blocking. Not everybody does it. So the stadium was loud. It was hard to tell because it's an indoor press box and you don't really get to hear. But one thing I have to tell you is that when Fred Warner went down, there was a Warner chant. And you could just feel the air go out of the stadium when he was hurt. But the crowd, it's probably Bucks fans too. I mean, Fred Warner is one of the most respected players in the entire league, one of the best players in the entire league. And so for him to be lost for the season, it makes football worse. Football's better when the best players are playing, and Fred Warner is one of them. When Kyle Juszczyk got a catch, there was a huge Juice cheer. So there were quite a few Niners fans there. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Jennings is tough for sure. Um, he's dealing with a lot. I found it very interesting that he said, "I've got 5 broken ribs and the ankles and the shoulder." I mean, we all knew what it was, but to hear the ribs, ouch. Yeah, it was tough. What could be the plan with? But it's just everybody in the building, on the field, playing to the whistle, playing aggressively, doing their job. That's the big thing. Once Fred Warner was out, there were a lot of missed assignments. A lot of missed assignments. There were wide open receivers. There were missed tackles. So um, let's see. Hang on one second. I got to read one message. Okay. All right. So, anyways, just tough one. Really, really tough one for the 49ers. Trent is almost 4 years. Yeah, no, Trent can still run it. He's just had some good games and some bad games. But Trent Williams still manhandled a guy into the end zone when Christian got that first rushing touchdown. So it's just tough. Yep, top tight end in the league out. One of the top defensive ends out. Best linebacker exactly out. It's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough. You know, I don't think Jennings said he has 5 broken ribs, so he won't be traded. I think he said 5 broken ribs because there's been so many questions about whether he can be on the field and what his play has been like. And don't forget, Kendrick Bourne has been killing it 142 yards 2 games in a row. So if there's any question about what Juwan Jennings can do or has been doing, I think he wanted to be known that this is what he's dealing with, and that is why he wanted it out there. So I'm not going to take any Trent Williams slander on here, okay? No Trent Williams slander. So let's see. And honestly, I do think Brendel's not an elite center, but he is graded. I do the grades on PFF every week, and he's middle to top. Like, he's in the top, like, third. Connor Colby is not playing well. He's a rookie. Dominic Cooney played a lot better last year. It's tough. Tatum Bethune will get the green dot. D. Winters will still play weak side. So it'll be Tatum Bethune with the green dot. I think that's who is going to be doing it. Let's see. What else did you guys ask? Yeah. Siegel's not having a great start to the season, but I think with more reps, he's going to get better. I think Marquis Siegel, and I was trying to say Siegel and Malik Mustafa coming back, they're easing him in. I'm feeling that Malik Mustafa is going to be on the field next week a lot more. And he and Marquis Siegel, I think, are going to be a great pair. Jason Pinnock was taken out of the starting lineup today, and Marquis Siegel and Malik Mustafa are the safeties of the future. They just are going to have some growing pains. And we all knew this was going to happen, right? Defensive line, very few pressures. Michael Williams got his first sack today, which is great, but it's week 6. There just haven't been that much pressure or sacks on opposing quarterbacks, and that's because they're really young. They don't have Nick Bosa. They don't have Malik Collins. They don't have Gravedigger. They don't have Leonard Floyd. They've got a lot of young guys and guys that don't have a lot of experience on defensive line, so they're not getting pressure. So, yeah, tough one. All right. It has been 20 minutes. I'm going to turn off. I'll probably assess some more, watch the game again, and talk to you guys tomorrow. Both and Warner loss are bad. Having said that, Kyle was well as pride and trade for. Honestly, I don't think they're going to make any trades at this point, because why lose your capital? Why lose your draft capital? Hold on to it, because this year it's not going to happen. Um, without Fred, without Nick, I just don't think it's going to happen. So why use your draft capital on a season? And I don't want to say the season's lost, but this is not a team that's, oh, you're one player away from going to the Super Bowl. They're not. They're several players away from going to the Super Bowl. So why spend a first round pick, second round pick on somebody for a year on a rental? You don't do that unless you're that person will tip the balance. Emmanuel Sanders tipped the balance for them to go to the Super Bowl. There is not one player that will tip the balance for this team to go to the Super Bowl. They may gut it out and make it to the playoffs. They're not making it to the Super Bowl. As much as I would love for them to go, I love going to the Super Bowl covering a team there. It's just not going to happen. It's going to be tough. So, yeah. All right. I know, depressing. But Fred will come back. He's going to put his heart and soul into recovery, and he'll be back. We'll all be back. All right. Talk to you guys soon.